What's up, everybody? Caleb from thebookflipper.com/scoutiq.co. Happy to be with you. It is time for our monthly training, and we're going to be talking about a topic that is near and dear to my heart. First off, I want to say hello, happy spring. The weather's finally starting to get nice. We are here in lovely Denver, Colorado, and you'll notice my wall looks a little different. Matthew, my business partner, and I actually got our first office, so we are super excited. If you are in the area, the Denver area, reach out, say hello, connect with us on wherever you'd like to connect with us here, Instagram, Facebook community, drop us a line, thebookflipper@gmail. Say hello, and we'd love to let you stop by the office and say hello. If you've got ideas you want to pitch, or just say hello, or talk books, talk shop, drink a beer, maybe not during business hours, come on by. So real quick, this is our office. It's meant to be, if you guys know me, it's got orange, so it fits our color. We got a little co-working space. Matthew's on the other side of that wall. And just out the window here, if the camera can adjust, we've got a lovely golf course. So if I'm not working as much, it's because I'm out there. And if you like to golf, by all means, come on out. So enough about me. Let's talk about you. We're going to talk about scaling your business with hiring teams. And it may sound intimidating, but if you guys missed our last update with ScoutIQ, it's a big one, and it really enables you to help scale the business. So if you guys have heard me talk recently, I like to talk about the idea of starting up, scaling up, and then stepping back from your business. So the idea in a nutshell, and this is a much longer conversation, but start up, do it as efficiently, do the 80-20 rule, just get from zero to your first sale as fast as you possibly can. So that's starting your business. Don't get stuck in the minutia. Don't get stuck in the weeds. Just get the business up off the ground. Step two is scale. All right, so the business model works. You know that you can find one book, sell it on Amazon, make a profit. Can you do that with 10 books? What about 100? What about 1,000? So can you scale the business? And that's what we're going to talk about today. And then step three is, how do you find a way to step back? Stop trading your time for money, outsource pieces of the business, maybe sell the business, maybe bring someone in, hire them, etc., whatever it may take. But that's kind of the model. So I don't know where you are in your business, whether you're ready to start hiring, whether you're not quite there yet, you're still trying to figure out the ropes yourself. Either way, this is a really cool topic. So this is a live. Matthew's going to be on the other end, kind of picking off some of the comments as they show up. He'll post those in our Slack channel, and I'll be trying to answer questions as we go. So if you do have questions live, by all means, drop them in the chat below. Say hello, drop us a quick note, let us know you're here and you're watching and that it's working. So by all means, please do that. And then if you happen to be watching this later, today is April 24, 2019. If you missed a live, go ahead and put comments in the chat below, and we'll follow up usually in a day or two and answer the questions there. So again, thanks for spending some of your time with us. Money is replaceable, time is not. So we want to make this worth it. Again, I'm going to jump right in. I've got a few slides. Quick shout out to those of you I met at the Bust Proof Live event in Dayton, Ohio. Technically Kettering, Ohio, but that's Greg Murphy's event. We were there 10 days ago, give or take, and it was awesome. So thanks for being at that event. It was awesome, Greg. Thanks for putting it on. Thanks for hosting, and thanks for inviting me. That was a lot of fun to be there. And I gave this talk there. This is a bit abbreviated, but I'm going to go through, explain kind of the philosophy behind this, why I think this is maybe the best sourcing model. And I don't even say that tongue in cheek. I really believe that. And we'll kind of show you how to get that set up and running. So Malachi Irvin says, will this stay up on the Book Flipper community? Yep, you can view it on YouTube. Should be live as soon as we're done here. If not, it may take a little bit to post. Jack says, I bought my first book last night. Attaboy, welcome. And this is like level 200 for me. Well, hopefully this will give you an idea of what's possible and as you kind of scale your business. So without further ado, let's jump in. Again, I'm not really a big slide guy, but I do like showing those, and then we'll show you some kind of live examples and jump in from there. So I do have a 13-month-old. He's 13 months as of today. This is little Elliot. He's been starting to help with our ScoutIQ customer support. He's been answering some Facebook messages. So if you get some really insightful notes, they're from him, not from me. So it's been fun. We've been dragging him around doing some book buying and book flipping as well. He's really enjoyed that. It's been a lot of fun to have him out there as well. He does like to explore. Don't worry, we were right below and we could catch him if he fell off the shelf. But we've been having a lot of fun traveling with our little guy and doing a little bit of a family business there. Also, we're getting him out on the golf course. His swing isn't great. I mean, walking is relatively new to him, so the whole balance thing with the swing is going to be a challenge. But he does like the sunshine and playing on the golf course there. Real quick, this is a really good tip. So if you guys don't really like books, this is a great tip to improve your golf game. Here's a way to kind of lower your scores on the putting green. So kind of a fun little way to set that up. But we've got I don't know if that counts. There's probably a 2-stroke penalty somewhere in there, but it sure is fun to get him out on the golf course. Let's jump back in. Okay. At Greg's event, I kind of went into more detail here. I think running your Amazon business is a bit like making a cup of coffee. And the reason for that is there's really 2 things that come into play when you're making coffee. That is your sources, or where you're getting the beans from. And the better the beans, the better the cup of coffee. And 2 is the systems. And I'm kind of a coffee nut, not as much as a lot of people out there, but I do have more than my fair share of coffee contraptions at home. The beautiful thing with coffee is it just works. You don't have to be great at it. You could literally take some beans, half roast them, get them warm, put them in a microwave, roast them essentially. You could step on them with boots and grind them. They wouldn't be very good, of course, but you could grind them, put them in a really cheap filter of sorts, and run semi-warm water through them. And that sounds terrible, but you're still going to have a black beverage that has caffeine, right? You're still going to have coffee. So coffee works whether you fine tune the system or not. You don't have to get crazy with it. It's a very simple process, and that's very similar to selling on Amazon. The process of Amazon works. There's tons of customers out there. We're not reinventing the wheel. We simply find products, list them for sale, make sure that we keep a good seller rating, and the process works. Some of them will sell. Can you fine tune that system and make a much better cup of coffee? Can you make better sales? Can you have better sell-through rate, better average selling price? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, the system is there. That's Amazon, and you can fine tune that as much as you want. However, it's very important to balance that and make sure you're getting the right amount of sources and putting good quality inventory into the top of that funnel. If you don't have good sources, you can fine tune the heck out of your systems and it may not matter. So it's a balance and a bit of a cautionary tale. There's some sellers out there that I've met personally and some that I've just talked to over the internet, and their sales are amazing. They love to post those shots, $1 million+ in 8 months, or $2 million in a year, or 100 grand in a year, whatever the number is. And they like to brag about that, and that's great. But maybe their system on the back end is not so good. So their sources are there. They're able to move a lot of material, but it's not buttoned up. Maybe on $1 million of revenue, their profit is 30 grand. They're running a very, very slim margins. They're very inefficient, spending too much on ads, whatever the problem may be. And just because you have big sales numbers, just because you have lots of inventory is only half the equation. The other end of the equation is the systems. But you don't want to spend too much time fine-tuning the systems. Any Breaking Bad fans in the house? It's a good show. It's been out for several years now. I remember watching that when it first came out. Fantastic. Well, you'll remember Walter White was wasting time in the lab, and he came up with his buddy. I'm blanking on the other guy's name there. It's been so long, but they spent so much time trying to get the perfect cup of coffee. And I'll admit, I really want to drink that cup of coffee. I'm sure it's fantastic, but if you don't have good sources, if all you have is just a few sources, if you can only pull a few books, put them in your funnel, then what you're going to end up with is you can maximize these as best you possibly could, and maybe I'll get an extra $1 or $2 out of each book, and that's great. But the biggest bang for my buck is going to be getting more sources. So if you're going to err one side or the other, if you say, hey, I'm not really sure where I'm at in my business, maybe I should focus on my sourcing, getting more product, getting better quality product, or maybe I should go to the other way and really fine tune my systems, get my repricer humming along. I would say it's probably best to work on the source aspect, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So again, this is abbreviated. I had 4 principles for like what I think is the perfect sourcing mode or the perfect selling mode, essentially. And so we're skipping 1, 2, and 4. But number 3 was stop trading time for money. This is a good exercise. The wholesale formula boys actually introduced this. I think it's Eric and maybe it's a Greg. I'm totally blanking. Sorry about that, boys. But the wholesale formula guys, they do a big course twice a year. And they were at Greg's event maybe 2-3 years ago. One of the things they said is, Caleb, what do you value your time at? And I'm like, I don't know, 75 bucks an hour, 100 bucks an hour, whatever it was back then. I said, that's what I value my time. They said, cool. If you can hire somebody to do something for less than that, you should probably outsource it. I'm like, it's silly. Why would I pay someone 50 bucks on my lawn? It takes me less than an hour. That seems silly. But their point was this: you only have so many hours in the day. You can only do so many things. And the only way to scale at some point is to stop trading your time for money, right? If you want to get a raise and you work for yourself, you have to get more dollars per hour or work for fewer hours and make the same money, or try and scale that, right? You talk a lot about real estate agents, and they're not going to go with you through the entire process, right? They're not going to go and check out the inspection. They're not going to be there personally. They may not even show you the house. They may outsource that to an assistant, because at the end of the day, they can only grow the business so big if it's just their time. They have to build the team. So a good exercise that we did in Dayton was, what value do you place on your time? Think about it. As a general rule, if you say you make 50 grand a year, and that basically divide that by 2,000. So 50 grand divided by 2,000 is $25 an hour. That's roughly what your time is worth. So if you can hire somebody, outsource part of your business, then that's going to help you. So which pieces can you outsource? You could certainly outsource a lister. You could find a prep company if you buy online. You could find someone to list the books for you, pay them a per book fee, pay them 12 bucks an hour, 15 bucks an hour, whatever it takes to get good quality work. And then you could optimize and spend your time bringing in new sources. Alternatively, a different way to do it is to hire people to source for you. And the way to do that, at the end of the day, through the thought exercise and how we went through it, I think the best sourcing method you can do, and there's not a great word for this, but it's consignment. And it sounds like a scary word, but the idea is, how do you sell somebody else's books for them and either pay them up front, pay them a portion of the profits? I'll show you how to track it. There's systems in place. And once you get this system going, and this works for a lot of different ways too. It's not just selling on consignment if someone else owns the inventory, but there's not a great word for it. But the idea is, how do you get somebody else to get the books for you, and you built a system on the back end using Amazon to unlock the value of that and create value for everybody, not just you. You're going to be helping all those along the way. How cool is it to give somebody else a job or help them make some money on their books that they were just going to donate, etc. So Mikey's Books, Colorado, got a local Colorado, and says, question, pay employees by the hour, pay certain amount found per book to keep them hunting strong. Pros and cons either way. We'll get to that in just a second. All right, so let's give you a quick overview of consignment. And again, I say consignment, and it's not a perfect word. It doesn't perfectly encapsulate this principle. The idea really is, how do you leverage technology and relationships? I hate saying leverage people, but you're leveraging people. How do you leverage those around you? Make sure you pay them well if they're not just a tool or a resource. How do you leverage technology and partner with people, let's call it that, to get more books coming into the top end of your coffee funnel, which obviously will trickle down into better coffee and more coffee. And as we all know, you can never have too much coffee. So consignment overview, how do you set up the technology? We'll show you that. How much do I pay? So Mikey, your question, how do I track everything? And then let's put it into practice and show you what it looks like. Again, if you're watching, say hello. Make sure you like the video here and drop us a note, say hello, and ask any questions. We'll be getting to questions in just a minute. So here's the way that the tech gets set up. Again, if you guys did not see our update with ScoutIQ, we now have hidden mode. And it's not just hidden mode in the traditional sense that you can turn off the view that they see. You can actually set this up remotely. I'll show you that in just a second. So you can also, we've moved our triggers online, so you can set up triggers. You can then push those remotely. So when you want to hire somebody, it doesn't have to be somebody local. You can reach out and hire somebody on the other side of the country, and I'll show you exactly how we do that. You can then set up team members, and again, push the triggers, control whether they see the full mode or hidden mode, etc., and then select which view and which triggers they see. So I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. Here's an example. So Caleb, why should I care? Well, here's exactly what this turns into. Obviously, I talk a lot about books. I talk a lot about Amazon. People know that I am the book guy, right? And that's partly there. And I'm not trying to be spammy and sleazy and multi-level marketing-ish, where I'm always talking about it, but people know that that's what I do. This is a friend. Her name's Katie. Knew her from college. Katie, if you're watching this, hello. She had a bunch of books, and she reached out and says, hey, we're moving. My husband has 1 million. That would be awesome. 24 textbooks that we don't want to take with us. Do you buy textbooks? Absolutely. I have no idea how it works, but thought I'd reach out to you since you're in the book flipping biz. So Katie's getting ready to move. This is very common. She goes to load up her books and realizes, oh my goodness, this 24 books is 50 pounds, 60 pounds. It's heavy. I'm never going to read these again. I thought I would, but I'm not. So what do? I can donate them to Goodwill, put them for free on some next door site, or, I bet I could sell these. They're old. Maybe there's money, maybe there's not. But then she's got to figure out Amazon. Instead of that, I'm providing the value. I've already figured out Amazon. I've got the system in place, and we're going to partner together. So here's how it works. I says, yep, can you scan them with our app to see if they have any value? If so, we'll sell them on consignment. So there's the pitch. There's the bait, if you want to say that. Go ahead and grab ScoutIQ. So they simply just go download it. They can log in. I just set up a really easy username for her, just Katie, KT. The password was password. I've since changed that, so don't get too excited. That won't get you into the app. Then I said hit the orange button at the bottom right of the Scout page. It'll bring up your camera. You can scan the barcodes, and off we go. If the screen turns green, we want the book. So that's just stage one. She might scan them and say, you know what, they're all duds. Everything was red. No harm, no foul. Go ahead and change the password. Thanks for trying. We'll move on. Here's what she comes back with. So I followed up a couple days later, 2 days later. How'd the scanning go? Find any gems? Yep, 15 of them. Awesome. We're in business. She goes, what's next? Well, let's turn them into money. So again, she doesn't want to figure out Amazon. She's going to rely on me. I've already got a seller account. We've got good feedback. I'm buy box eligible. I know how to sell Prime. She doesn't want to figure that out for 15 bucks. So I said, go ahead and put them in a box. We'll ship them to our office. We'll list them. Off we go. She goes, well, actually, I scanned a few more books. We're now up to 21. The box is 38 pounds according to my scale. I said, cool. We'll sell them for you. We'll split profit. So you ask how much to pay. In this case, we'll do 50-50 split. Sound good? Where are you shipping from? Here's the zip. Off we go. So a couple days later, in our we didn't even have to go touch these. We have employees that list out of a warehouse for us. So these books show up. Here's a pile of Katie's books. So thank you. Those got listed without us touching them necessarily. I think we were actually listing this particular batch because we happened to be at the warehouse. But in general, we have employees that are there to do it. Total list price on, was it 21 books? Well, they were pretty good books. It was a little over $600. So total list is $600. It costs maybe $15, $20 to ship a box of books with our rates. So we're able to get those books after all of Amazon's fees, after 80% of the books sell, etc. Maybe some books go up in price, maybe some go down. There's probably going to be between $300 and $400 worth of profit here. So Katie's going to get a check for between 150 and 200, and we just made 150 to 200 bucks, all because we were able to leverage technology. She knew that we were out there, so that's kind of the marketing, and off we went. So Mikey asked, how do we pay? There's a couple options. You can pay by the hour. There's nothing wrong with that. You got to be up on your employees, make sure that they're using their time properly. But there's a couple options that we like to employ. I like to pay incentive-based models. So rather than $15 an hour, for example, I'd rather pay in other ways. Let me see if I can get that. There we go. I'd rather pay different amounts tied to how well they do. So if they source faster, better, more efficiently, I want to make sure they get rewarded for it. So really 3 different models. I used to have lots of different models. My wife has helped me clean those up so that it's simpler for our bookkeeping, simpler just, we don't have to negotiate every single time we run across somebody. So 3 models. The cleanest is $2 a book. And that can change. I might change the triggers. Maybe it's 3 or 4. But in general, $2 a book. Usually garage sale books are 50 cents or $1. So if we're paying 2, plus we got to pay shipping, plus we got to list them, that usually wins over the bid. And that can work pretty well. So $2 a book. I prefer to just do that up front, pay them cash, be done with it, and just say, look, if it turns green, I'll give you $2. And get 10 books, 20 books, 50 books, off we go, case closed. If there's upside, great, I get it. If not, no problem. I don't have to track it. I don't have to track them down later and pay money. If they don't know me and don't trust me, it's really, really simple. So $2 a book. The other options I do are 20% of gross, which just means total sales. So if I sell $1,000 worth of books, I'm going to take 200 minus Amazon's fees, pay out the rest, or I'll do 50-50 of net profits. So typically I opt to $2 a book or 50% of profits. Every once in a while, 20% of gross sales sounds lower, and depending on the situation, I'll throw that out as well. How do I track everything? Inventory Lab has some source reporting built in. Otherwise, I'm going to opt and use my own tool, which is the tracking spreadsheet, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. And then be very specific about your reporting intervals. So if you say, hey, I'm going to sell on consignment, and then they, a couple weeks go by and they go, hey, I haven't heard anything. Did you steal my books? What happened? Did you disappear? Be very upfront. Hey, we provide reports on the first of the month, the first weekday of every month. We'll email you a report, we'll mail you a check. And so we're very specific. If someone comes and says, hey, it's it's right now, it's the middle of the month, 24th of April. Hey, how am I doing? We actually just say, hey, we run reports on the first. It keeps it very, very straightforward. And it lets me focus and do the main things in my business that I need to do. List your items. You can list with any listing tool, Inventory Lab, Scan Lister, Exceller lists. The listing spreadsheet is free. You can list through Seller Central. It's just harder to track the metrics on the back end. Assign a source so you know who to pay. Buy cost in most cases will be free, and then shipping costs to Amazon. Make sure you track those, especially if you're splitting profits 50-50. And what does this look like in Exceller list? You can put the buy cost in the corner. You can then put a supplier, which is your source. And so for Katie, we just put her name. Katie is the source. And as we list all those books, buy cost will be 0 for her, except we'd probably figure out what we paid for inbound shipping. Let's say it was $20, 21 books. It'd be just under $1 a piece for buy cost is where I would factor that in. I got the supplier. When you're done listing an Exceller list, there's an option. You can actually click export. There's an inventory loader if you want to list everything to Amazon manually, or there's a tracking spreadsheet. So click that. And then you go in there, it's the Book Flippers tracking spreadsheet. That's me. Thanks, Exceller lists. Put the shipping cost, the inbound shipping cost for a box of books, the date you shipped it, click export. You can copy paste that into the tracking spreadsheet. So that's step one. Now you have your listing data. Step two is simply pull the sales report from Amazon, which looks like this. You go to reports, and then you go into payments, and then date range reports, and you can select. I do a month at a time. I actually ran reports a day early because we were traveling on the 1st, so I pulled it on March 30, but normally I pull a month at a time, paste that into the tracking spreadsheet, and off we go. The last thing you got to do in the tracking spreadsheet, there's a consignment sales page, and what you do is you simply put the source, so I put Katie, percentage of sales. Again, I like to do either 20% of sales or 50% of profit. You can put either. If you're paying $2 a book, you don't need to even bother with this. Just put $2 as your buy cost and you're done. I put a PayPal email so I know how to pay the person. And then it actually spits out a couple reports for me. One, we've got the commission dashboard is what it's called. Put the source in here, put the time frame you want to sell books for. It'll pull everything else for you and tell you how much you owe them. And once you pay it, it zeroes out, of course, and you go on to the next month. So this is somebody that had an Amazon account. They were overseas. They were across the pond somewhere in Europe. And their Amazon account in the US got shut down because they had multiple accounts or something. Amazon didn't give a great reason. So this gentleman was left with a bunch of inventory, gave it to me to sell on consignment. I said, no problem, ship it to my warehouse. I'll take 20% of sales. And so in just a couple months, he was able to send in 180 books. We've sold nearly all of them, 80-90%, about 150 that we've sold. Sold $6,500 worth. Profit on that after inbound shipping and Amazon's fees was about $4,000. I took my 20%, so about $1,200 for running it, and I paid him nearly $3,000, which is pretty cool. So that's how the model works. That's how you track it. Again, if you have questions there, you can check out thebookflipper.com/track, TRACK, and then you can see videos of all of the tracking spreadsheet and how to run that. But I love the consignment method. I love selling for other people. It's a great win-win. This gentleman, I was able to throw $3,000 back in his pocket. I made some money. He's happy. I'm happy. With Katie, we're going to split profits. And with a box of books, we're probably each going to make between $150 and $200. And that's better than her dumping them somewhere. We both win. It's pretty cool. The other report that gets generated with the tracking spreadsheet is this one. You throw the source here. So in this case, it was Denley again. It shows you all of the items that sold, or if they got returned, they show up as negative values. So here's the sales price. This was a reimbursement, so there's no fees on it, 18 bucks, margin, etc. That doesn't really factor in. Bottom line is he can see exactly what the profit was. So we sold a book for 72, Amazon took 17, profit was 55. Of course, I'm going to take 20%, so I'm going to make 11. He gets the rest, 44. So I email this and I send this report. And then the most important step, pay your client. If you want to see the most visceral, guttural, angry reactions from people, don't pay them and see what happens. Touch their pocketbook and you will see some really strong reactions. So if you say you're going to pay on the first, make sure you do it. And sometimes I slip and go to the second or third and people get on me, which is great. They should. Pay your people. So PayPal is really easy. You can use friends and family option if you know them and don't pay fees. You can write a check and mail it, a little bit old school, but it's a good touch point. You can do direct deposit. I recently switched over. Matthew actually discovered Aslo as a bank, and it's really awesome. I'm not affiliated with them. I don't get money for referring them. It's a free tool, but Aslo, AZLO, has been really awesome. You can just set up people. It'll mail a check or direct deposit, no fees, no limits as far as I know. And that's been really good. So if you're looking for a way just to kind of set up payments really easily, I'd recommend Aslo. So let's put it into practice. Let's show you what this looks like, and then let's talk through a couple ways to do it. So the first and probably easiest way to hire a team is to not worry about going remote, not trying to find someone across the city or in a different state. Get a library scout team. So if you're already going to library sales on your own, you go to the sale, you're one of 20 scouts, one of 50 scouts, one of 200 if you're down at the, what is that sale down in Phoenix. So there's lots of scouts out there. The best way to ensure that you get more books, other than kicking people in the shins and bringing elbow pads and being a jerk, is to just bring a bigger team with you. If you can go there and get one out of every 20 books that is snagged by all the book scouts, why not bring a team of 5 and now get 5 out of 24? So bring a team, go in there, set up hidden mode if you want. You can teach them to read the data. But the beautiful thing with hidden mode is it's just really straightforward. It's a binary decision, yes or no. Buy the book or don't. Set your buy cost on the back end so that it's handled for them, and just go through and incentivize them. Say, hey, I'll pay you $15 an hour plus pizza. And if you can find 50 books in an hour, I'll pay you an extra, a bonus of $25. Excuse me. So that's probably the easiest way. They can use their phone. You set up a couple extra accounts, make sure your triggers are good to go, and bring 4 or 5 people to the sale. You can buy a stack of barcode scanners like the Opticon ones here. I've started using the white ones. They're pretty cool. But get a stack of scanners and bring a team with you and just rotate that team. You can share the team accounts. If you want to have Bill help you on Friday and Sally help you on Saturday, you can simply have Bill log out. Sally can log in, and off you go. We don't make you get multiple accounts. You just can't use multiple at the same time. So a scout team is by far the best way to scale your business, in my opinion. You could amplify this decision, start calling every library within like a 5 or 6 hour driving radius, maybe 2 or 3 hours, depending on how much you're willing to drive, and bring your team. Get that team ready, coordinate, wear the same color t-shirt, dress shirt, whatever you want to do. Go to sales, have one person be the runner and collect all the books, then hoard them in the corner. That way no one else touches them, and have everybody else go crazy and buy books. And this is a great way, instead of you going and getting 50 books an hour, bring a team of 3 or 4 or 10 or 50, people. That was awkward. Get a team of a lot of people and go buy as many books as you can. So that's a great way to get started. The other option, just like I mentioned, is the friends and family. And before we go further, I keep saying I'm going to show you this. Let me show you how to set this up. So here we've got our ScoutIQ in ScoutIQ. Again, we've got the triggers you can set up. We've got the default triggers, which are uneditable now. We're just going to mess with thrift store triggers. You can pick your fulfillment method. You can call them whatever you want. We're going to sell FBA. That's my option. I put 35 cents a pound for shipping to Amazon. I usually put buy cost as 0 and just adjust the target profits accordingly. Let's say you're at a library sale and books are going to be $1.02 for hardcover. We'll just go ahead and put $2 for the buy cost. Now, if the target profit shows up as essentially $4, so $2 for the book and an extra $2, then it's going to show up as yes. So you can set e-score ranges, rank ranges if there is no e-score, and the same triggers that you're used to. We've got a lot of training on triggers. We won't get into that now, but you're basically setting up your custom logic. And let's say, you know what, I'm happy to actually make $1 on the low end, maybe $1.50. You can change any of these values, right? So let's just leave it there. Go ahead and save the trigger set. They're ready to go. And let me share my screen. Let's see if we can do this real quick. Hold that thought. In practice enough. All right, so we're going to show my phone instead of me. Maybe. That's not going to work. Got my phone plugged in. It may not be recognizing. Let me try and unplug it. Get it one more time. Apologize for this. Well, Not loving me. All right, we'll show you up with the regular screen. So let's go with this. We'll shrink that down so you don't have to stare at me. All right, so let's go back to this. We'll just show you up on the screen. Sorry about that. So what I've done is we'll go back to our team. I've got Caleb as my scout, which is me. I've got that logged in right here on ScoutIQ, so we'll just show it to you this way. And so what's going to happen is I can set, so I'm going to go to the triggers page right now. Everything is web-based, and it actually pushes down through the cloud. So I've got this set up, and I'm going to be showing thrift store is the trigger set. I'm going to change that. Let's say I want to put it back to ScoutIQ default. I'm going to say update user. I'm not going to touch anything else. You'll see that the app actually changed lifetime back to the default triggers. That's pretty cool. Let's put it back to thrift store. So we're gonna go to thrift store triggers and update the user. You can see it change again in live time. Cool. Now I'm gonna go ahead and scout. And so I'm just gonna scan a book's barcode here. So I've got my camera, I'm just gonna scan the code and voila. So I've got some data. This is telling me at the top reject. It's seeing all the prices. So I have this on full mode. Let's say, you know what? I don't want Caleb, he's gonna be confused if I'm showing him all the data. So instead of full mode, we're gonna go to hidden mode. So again, I'm going to update the user, and I'm not going to touch the app, just watch in live time. It's actually going to update and just reject, which is pretty cool. So now I can scan another book, for example, which is this Thinking in Bets book. It's a great read. And again, what it's going to show me instead is just, it shows the picture of the book down in the thumbnail right there. It says Thinking in Bets, and it just says accept the book. So now I bring my scout with me to a library sale. All he does is scan books. If it turns green, sets it aside and makes it very, very easy. Okay, so that's the technology in a nutshell. Again, you can adjust the triggers. You can hire or fire scouts. Again, you can share scout accounts pretty easily. So if you want to give it to me for a weekend and then let somebody else go scout, just you can log the user out through here actually. So you can log the user out or ask them to log out and then have somebody else log in. If you do try and log in with two people to the same account at the same time, it will start booting you out and it will be annoying. So don't say we didn't warn you, but it's a great way to scale your business is by doing that. Okay, so that's the team modes. We got a couple questions coming in. We'll get to those in just a second. So scout teams, I think probably the easiest way to do it. You can also have them go regularly to different thrift stores and say, hey, Mondays go to these 6 stores in town. And you can pay them hourly if you'd like, or you can pay the $2 per book. Or what we did when we had scouts is we let them see all the data. We let them make their own decisions, and we actually paid them a commission on what actually sold. So they were invested. If they found a $100 book, they were going to get more money. We'd make more money. Everybody won. We weren't just paying a flat $2. So that's my preference. However, if you just want to do hidden mode, it certainly is easier. You don't have to risk people stealing your books because they don't know which books are $50 and which books are $5. A book drive is another way we've kind of played with this model. Approach schools, and instead of them selling Girl Scout cookies, they can do a book drive. So kids can go door to door. They can bring books into school. You can do this with a church, really any nonprofit in an area. Have them bring the books in. You can either go in and scan the books and say, hey, anything that turns green, we'll pay $2, or we'll sell on consignment, long-term, split it 50-50. Or ideally, remember, the goal is to stop trading your time for money. So the goal would be to have them set up a volunteer, give them a login, let them scan the books, and say anything that turns green will, again, pay you that $2 or split it in Excel. So a book drive is a pretty good option as well. Remember, with 50-50 mode, it's going to take longer for them to get the cash. They will make more in the long term, but it's a little longer than just going in and selling for $2. Another option you can do is go to thrift stores, approach them, set up a device, iPhone, Android, doesn't matter. Get an old iPod Touch isn't going to work, but get an older iPhone, like an iPhone 6. You pick it up for $100 and set it up on database and live and let them go crazy. That's an option. Now they're doing the work for you. And then lastly, if you guys follow Avery Martin, Avery Romer the Romer, I think is his Instagram handle. He does a good job of this. He is able to sell pretty much any book on Amazon. Some of you are restricted or there's some gated items. So he's actually letting you ship items to him. So Avery, shout out to you. If you guys are restricted, you can drop a line to Avery. He will sell those and split profits, I believe, with you. So again, it's a great win-win. Instead of you having to donate the book or return it or sell it on eBay, you can still sell it on Amazon, and both you and Avery or me or anybody that you know that can do it can earn a little bit. So it's a great way to leverage relationships, make sure you're getting the best out of it. And that's kind of Hidden Shell in a nutshell. So let's answer some of your questions, and I want to show you a few examples where this has actually worked out pretty well. Brian Campbell says, if your team members are going to different thrift stores with different buy costs, how do we handle this since they can't adjust the buy cost? So to Brian's point, what we did with Hidden Mode is we wanted to keep it really easy. There's no ability to edit buy costs. It simply is yes or no, and then you can see a scan tracker with how many scans are there and what the accept rate is. So what we did is we left buy cost out on purpose. Most people that are hiring scouts are either doing like an hourly rate or they're doing a fixed rate of, let's say, $2 a book. So Nathan Holmquist in Florida with ScanLister has done this quite a bit. He pays a flat rate for the books and knows that most books in his area are cheaper. What you want to do then, like in Denver, most books are $1 for softcover, $2.50 for hardcover. What I'd probably do is offer, if I was going to do a flat rate, I would just do a flat $3.50. I would set my buy cost as $3.50 and then set a minimum profit of maybe $1 or $2 in the app. So you're going to get fewer books if you completely hide the information, but you're going to control and make sure you get the books that you want. The other option, Brian, instead of trying to have them adjust buy costs or you change triggers on the back ends, is let them see the data. And I know that's scary. They might take your business or might take the more expensive books. But in my experience, most people that are out there buying books and willing to work for you don't really want to be an entrepreneur. They're happy making a few dollars. They're happy getting a side hustle. They know that you have to handle the business. And if they were going to start their own business, they'd just go do it. So we've never really had an issue with people quitting and leaving and going to try and start their own business. In fact, we've encouraged them to do it. Some of the more promising ones over time, we've said, look, you're going to do better for yourself. Spread your wings and go do it. Robert Watson says Hidden Mode equals admin only backends. Yep. So again, we showed you that on the web portal. So you can go into ScoutIQ and adjust their settings. If they try and log into ScoutIQ web portal, it'll kick them out. It'll say, sorry, you can't do that. James Hancock says, can I use Excel? Yep, any version of Excel will work with the tracking spreadsheet. Kev128 says, can you force a database download to a scouter's phone or see when they last updated? No, that's a cool idea. We wouldn't let you force it to their phone. If they're not on Wi-Fi, that's not going to be a good situation. They can download the database. You can certainly send them an email maybe once a week and just remind them to do it. So again, I'm on Hidden Mode. I can still download the database. That's not a problem. Unless it's a live only account, then that's not an option. So the options I can see, I can't change my own triggers. That has to be done remotely. Again, we wanted this to be sort of the little thinking approach. We don't want somebody to set the buy cost at $8 on accident and now everything is a reject and you're wondering why it didn't work. They're frustrated, you're frustrated. We wanted to keep it 100% control from the back end. We've had a few people ask so Michael in California, talking to you, a couple people have kind of asked, can we have buy cost as an option in Hidden Mode? And we'll certainly consider that. Although for the time being, we're keeping it as simple as possible. So again, if you have questions, make sure you post those. We'll get to those here. We'll be on for another 15, 20 minutes, give or take. Again, thanks for spending your time with us. Thanks for being here. And hopefully you're getting value. So if you're liking what you see, go ahead and smash the like button. I think that's what all the cool kids are saying. But smash the like button, give us a thumbs up, share it, comment below, and again, ask your other questions as well. So there you go. So that's going to be pretty straightforward for you. Again, if you have questions, drop those and we'll get to those. Let me share a few examples of how we've used Hidden Mode in the last month or so to try and bring on some new clients without having to physically go out and source the books. Here's an old college professor that reached out, says, you know, the Grace Library, I went to Grace College, is having a book sale, wondered if you're going to be in town. You know, he's thinking book sale, he thinks me, that's great, I've done my job. If you guys are shy about sharing what you do on social media, don't be. It's a really good opportunity to get your name out there and make sure that you understand what's going on. So put your name out there, show some pictures of books. You don't have to brag about your business. You don't need to show your sales numbers, but just mention that you do books. And then when people think books, you'll be top of mind, and maybe opportunities like this will reach out. So Professor Roger is thinking books. I've accepted a position at another university. I'm going to reporting there this summer and preparing for the move. I've collected a number of books. College books, money. Professor books, money. Can you connect me with the process for checking prices on you or Amazon? Absolutely. So I was able to set him up, username Roger, go figure, and he's able to log in, scan the books. I was in Indiana 2 or 3 weeks ago, met up with Roger, and he gave me the books that he scanned. So again, I didn't have to trade my time. He was already going to do it. Again, I'm going to sell those on consignment for him, split profits 50-50. It's a win-win, works fairly well from that standpoint. Here's a good example as well. Max reached out. Hope you're well. I've got the weights for the shipment. So Max and I are working on a deal. He is sending me books. We're kind of going back and forth. We were doing $2 a book. Now we're doing, I think, a profit share. But so he's kind of set this up with a thrift store. He's a middleman. There's lots of middlemen in this game. But he was able to set up our software at a thrift store. They're scanning the books. He's picking those up and shipping those back out to us and taking a little cut along the way. So 400 books were coming their way to us just because we had hidden mode, set up another user. Very easily justifies the cost of adding a sub account. And again, those books are going to show up. All we have to do now is list them, share the profits over time, and we just got books essentially for just paying for shipping. Here's another example. Carly was able to go in and scan books at a bookstore that was going out of business. So she was able to go in there, scanned about 2,000 books, picked up 400 of them that came back as green. She's never sold on Amazon, never used our technology, was able just to go in very easily. And we actually mailed her a barcode scanner. She could scan the books, everything that turned green, she set aside. So we've got another 400 plus books coming to us from her. Again, not our time for money. We're able to pay her pretty well. But so she's happy. We're going to be happy because these books show up at our front door and we didn't have to trade our time to go get them. So here's what our front door looked like. This is maybe a third of the books that showed up. We've had a couple good runs lately, and people are able to use hidden mode. We pay them for their time, and they're showing up. You guys see a Better World Books box. I love it when we get those. It's fun to compete with them. But these books are then showing up at our front door. We're able to then list them. We're still in the process of listing them because it's a lot of books. But this is not our time for money. These are books that are coming in that we did not have to source. And that is what we're all about. So this is what the consignment method can open up. This is what selling for other people can go as well. So again, to summarize, your job is to find the opportunities. If you're the business owner, it's your job to grow the business, find the opportunities. And again, we're going to be leveraging technology and utilizing or partnering with people to fill in the gaps. If you can do those two things, if you can connect and find the opportunities, then these opportunities will keep coming in. Make sure you pay your people well, treat them well. And again, everybody can win. It's not just finding the books for the cheapest price and seeing if someone will work for $6 an hour. Pay them well. Make sure that you're maximizing profit in your business so that you can afford to pay people well and take care of them. So we'll jump into Q&A. Again, if you guys have questions, let's connect. thebookflipper@gmail.com is the best way to get a hold of me. I do reply to everything personally at this point. If it's customer service related, support@scoutiq.co. But again, feel free to reach out, say hello, and let me stop sharing. Actually, I'll just leave that up. We're going to take some questions. Again, we'll go for another 15 minutes or so, and we will wind this down. So Honest Witness says, how do you pay your scouters? I prefer cash. They prefer cash. I also like to be sarcastic. Apologies. Again, if you watch the earlier part of the video, we typically do $2 a book up front. And then, again, books here in Denver are a little more expensive. So we usually have to pay a little bit more. I know people that have done cost of the books or bring a receipt plus $1 a book. That's an option to do it as well. For us, we always did on consignment. So we paid them a portion of sales. And so the better books they found, the more money went in their pocket eventually. Mike says, hello, thanks again. Do you think I can use duds as box filler and keep the buy box on the graph? Is it used or new? A couple questions here. Can you use duds as box filler? So can you use books that are not worth it to fill in your box? I guess. Or are you going to tear the pages out? If you put books in there that aren't labeled, Amazon's going to get confused. So I wouldn't recommend that. You could tear the pages out. I know librarians are going to cringe if I say that. Do yourself a favor. They make these big, it's like a roll of wrapping paper. They're like 3 feet long, pretty wide, and it's painter's tape. You can find it at Best Buy, most home improvement stores. Get that. It's like brown paper. It's pretty crunchy, like the brown paper bags at a store. Get that. It's a couple bucks, $10 maybe, and it'll last you a long, long time. Tear it up, crumple it up, use that as filler. That's a lot better. Keep the buy box on the graph. Is it used or new? Usually it's going to be used. They don't typically track the buy box over time. I mean, sometimes they're doing it. That's mostly for non-book products. I'd have to look. I think they have a used and a new buy box. Their used price is just the lowest price. It's not prime necessarily. Ryan Meredith says, do you pay the scouters cash? I I usually pay through PayPal or some sort of tracking app, Venmo or something else, just so there's a taxable type setup. I won't get into taxes too much. If you do pay a scout more than $600 in a year, you do need to 1099 them or put them on contract or W-2 them. You're gonna have to talk to a CPA and see which option works best. But if you do pay more than $600, you're gonna have to record that somehow. Cash is a little bit, it's better to receive because they're probably not gonna report it, but we can't advocate that. So I like to pay with something that's trackable. Out of a bank account, again, ASLO, AZLO is pretty good. Kev says, do you hold back any pay for new scouters? Nope, we'll pay them right away. If you're gonna sit there and hold back on the payment, you're gonna disincentivize them or unincentivize them, whatever the right word is, to go find books for you. So don't hold the pay. Make sure that you're paying them quickly, on time, and find ways to reward them. The more incentivized they are to go find more books, the better they're gonna do, the happier they are, and the better your business is gonna do. Ryan says, are you collecting receipts from scouters for your accountant to prove buy costs? Yeah, the more you get, the better. It's not as important for me. As long as I have a record from my bank account that I paid $80 to my scout, it doesn't really matter what percent was for the books and what percent was for labor. Essentially, it's all going to wrapped up into my buy costs. Again, I'm not an accountant. Probably want to talk to one and don't take my word for it. But for me, it's not as important. Should you? Probably. The CPAs out there are probably cringing right now. Brian says, can I sell DVDs and CDs on Amazon? Yep. They typically sell slower than books, but there is less competition. I agree. They're gated products. It's a little bit harder to get in. One of the new things with ScoutIQ is under the triggers, you can actually set triggers now for all the categories. So you can actually set up DVD triggers, music or CD triggers. We don't have eScore in there yet. That's coming. We will have the exact same methodology. So an eScore of 20 in books will be exactly the same as an eScore of 20 in DVDs. eScore of 20 is it sold at least 20 days in the last 6 months. We don't know if it sold multiple copies in a day, but we know that it at least sold 20 unique days in the last 6 months. Where that comes in handy, as you guys know, rank fluctuates often. A book can be ranked 10 million one day, sells a copy, drops to 100,000. If you scan that book when it's 100,000, you might go, yes, it's a $50 book, ranks 100,000, 150,000. I'm going to buy a lot of copies. eScore would back you up in your tracks and say, hey, eScore is only one. It sold one time, one day in the last 6 months. Slow your roll, hold your horses, whatever phrase you want to use, and make sure that you are not just jumping in and buying that book. At a $50 profit, it's still probably worth it, but at a $5 profit, it certainly isn't. Other questions, how do you handle cost of shipping from remote scouters to you? Do you let them ship directly to the warehouse? Perfect world, you'd have your scouters list for you as well. Although if they're scouting for you, listing for you, and that's it, they're gonna just go start their own business, maybe. Again, if you do a commission model or consignment model, maybe that can work. We've done that in the past, taught our scouters how to list. We give them all the technology. They don't have to pay for any of it. We do all the repricing. So there's ways, again, that you can be the system, let them focus on the sourcing. But in general, we pay for the shipping. We've got pretty good reduced or negotiated rates. So we ship everything FedEx, comes to our front door. It does cost money, but it's not terribly expensive. So as you're sourcing more expensive books, it works pretty well. Who pays for the books that your scouters source? Again, I'm going to just pay a flat rate generally. So there's two options. One is going to be paying them a flat rate on the fly. So you can just do that. You're going to pay that. You can pay for the book plus $1 or $2 or whatever it is, or you can pay some sort of a commission model. So up to you guys. In general, we're going to pay for all the expenses and then get the books. But for the consignment model, if it's something that's in their house or a thrift store, we're not paying. We're giving it the books for free. We're going to sell them usually as a 50-50 split. So in the Katie example I shared earlier, she sent us 21 books. Though she had paid for those, or tax dollars had paid, or somebody had paid for those way back in the day. They're old textbooks. We simply took them and resold them. So we're not paying. We're just paying for the shipping. What does it cost per pound to have scouters ship books to you? It's typically less than 50 cents a pound. So it's even better than media mail rates. How far away do you have scouters? All over the country. We ship from California, Jersey, Virginia, Indiana, Texas. We've got locations kind of all over, and the rates are really good that we've been able to negotiate. Romer the Romer, what's up, buddy? Request for mobile friendlier website coming to edit triggers on the fly. So right now, mobile, it'll look like that. It's a little bit tight. I would recommend turning your phone sideways. At least you'll have about that much real estate. and then you can kind of slide and see the data. We'll be working on a little more mobile friendly, but in general, pull up a computer, set them once or twice, build multiple trigger sets, and then you can go ahead and change those on the fly. Other questions? We'll take just a few more, and we'll let you get back to your regularly scheduled program. And again, we're just scratching the surface. There's a lot of ways to take this technology and leverage it. You can work, like we said, with a book drive. You can bring people to a library sale with you. You can go partner directly with friends of the library and say, hey, we've got a way to help you make more money with your books. It's a little weird. Libraries don't like talking money. You can talk about budgets or helping more people find their books, whatever. You don't need to be sneaky about it, but money is kind of a weird topic for librarians. They like to talk about budgets and books. So it's a great opportunity, though. Set them up with hidden mode or set them up with full if they want to see it. But hidden mode is great. If it turns green, set it aside. If you've got backstore access to a thrift store and you're going in, you're scanning the books, why not take it one step further? Say, hey, I'll pay you guys instead of $2 a book, I'll give you $3 a book, and scan it with this app. Have one of your employees that's doing that if they're willing to do it. Scan them, and we'll pay you a little more than we normally would. And again, you're not trading your time for money. So that's kind of a way to do that as well. Brian says, is there a ScoutIQ university like you have for eFlip? There's a couple videos that when you get started, that'll show right here, kind of get up and running. Also, if you check out, obviously, the book flipper community that you're watching right now, there's a handful of videos there. Or just go to YouTube and search ScoutIQ. We should probably build out a page. We can have Matthew work on something here that actually goes through it in more detail. But Zendesk, if you Google ScoutIQ and Zendesk, that'll actually come up. So if you come into the support page here, it'll actually bring up Zendesk. There's a lot of detailed articles on understanding triggers, how to set it up, pairing your scanner, getting started, etc. Kev says, what I meant, it was who pays Goodwill, Salvation Army, Friends of the Library? Do you give your scouters prepaid cards, transfer funds to them to pay, or do they need to pay for them at the store? They're going to pay up front, and then we're going to work out something on the back end. So it's their money. I'm not going to give them money up front. If they really need $40 to go buy books or $100 for the day, I guess maybe I could if I had to, but usually that's going to be on them. I'm going to give them the technology. They've got to use their own phone, etc. Johnny says, when will ScoutIQ come to Germany? No plans yet. UK and Canada, we're targeting later this year if all goes according to plan. We need to build out the website, calculate eScore, make sure we can handle the API properly. So UK and Canada are next up. If you want us to come to your country, go to scoutiq.co/countries. If I can spell, it'll bring up a page like this, and you can register and let us know. So if you're even if you're in Canada or the UK, you can let us know what country you're in. Let us know that you want us to come there. Once we have 100 people in your country, we will we'll start the process and start kind of building that out. So UK and Canada have crossed that threshold. We are not there in other countries yet. If you'd like us to be, by all means, fill that out, share it, tell your friends, and when we get 100 people, we'll start that process of looking into it. When ScoutIQ, when is it coming to Canada? I'm doing .com shipping my books to the USA. Again, same thing. Canada's coming later this year is the plan. Again, everything in software takes longer than you'd expect. But if everything goes according to plan, Canada and the UK should be later this year. How should I start finding my first scouter? How much money should I have so I can support a scouter? Get creative. Put out notes. Put an ad on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. Say, hey, if you're trying to have a side hustle, do you want to scan books essentially and set aside the winners and earn $1 a book that meets the criteria, or $3 a book, and I don't care what you pay for it. Garage sale season's coming up, so another really good opportunity is there's tons of people that love to go to garage sales. They enjoy it. They enjoy meeting people, saying hello, finding the products. Put a little ad out on Craigslist in the Facebook group. Say, hey, I'm looking for someone that goes to garage sales already. I've got a way to make a few extra dollars. And books are really cheap at garage sales. So you can pick up books 10 cents, 25 cents, maybe a buck or two. But set them up and say, hey, I'll give you $2 a book. Here's the app, log in, just scan books. Here's how to do it. Use your phone's camera. You're already at the sale anyway. Find a few of those, build an army of garage sale people. And maybe some of them will love it and go to thrift stores as well. But set that up on their phone, turn it to hidden mode and say, look, scan the books. If you can negotiate down from $1 to 10 cents or get it for free, cool. I'm just going to pay $2 a book. So have them drop those back off, or you can go to them at the end of the day. Hopefully they've got a stack of books for you. Scan them right in front of them, everything that turns green. give them $2, walk away. They're happy. It's a way for them to make a few extra dollars, and you're happy. So that's a good option. How much money should you have to support the Scouter? A live only child account with ScoutIQ is only $10 a month. It's not going to set you back a whole lot. If you want database to go faster, like at a library sale, it's going to run you 30. And again, that's a discounted rate from the normal rate. So it's already cheaper. As far as money for inventory, it depends on how good they are and how quickly they can find material. All right, we'll take just the last few questions. My voice is failing me, and we'll let you get back to your day. And again, if there's no more questions live, we will field those offline, and go ahead and comment below if you're watching this after our time, and we will get to those in a fair amount of time. So if you liked what you saw, again, hit the like button. By all means, check out ScoutIQ. Look for that option to use hidden mode to add a child member to your team. Again, it's a great way to scale it. I know a lot of husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, just couples in general love to go out and just scout together. It's a great opportunity to get a discounted rate, as well as kind of share the same triggers. It's a great way to build a consignment business to get people to scan for you. If someone is selling a stack of books on Craigslist, instead of you going to them, have them install the app real quick, log in, and just scan their own books and let you know how many of the books come back green. And if it works well, then off you go. Osman says, I'm going to join eFlip. Is there a good prep company for books you see? There's a handful of prep companies. A lot of them go in and out of business, unfortunately. I think Little Owl Book Prep is still in business. You may want to check them. Otherwise, check our Facebook group, the Book Flipper community on Facebook. I think Matthew will drop a link down below, but check out the Book Flipper community. Ask that question there. Many of the prep company owners actually are in that group and will help you and let you know kind of what deals they'll offer to booksellers. Again, prep companies with eFlip, it's a great way to receive the inventory. Instead of you buying the book on Amazon Merchant Fulfilled, ship it to your house. Now you have to list it. Again, that's your time for money. You're going to drop ship to a prep company. They're going to receive it, charge you typically $1 to $2 a book. $1 is really cheap. So most of them are in the $1.50, $2 range, I believe. They're going to list it for you into your account, send it in Prime. You don't have to touch it. And again, it's a way, it costs you a little extra, but you're scaling your time. Kev says, is there a bulk discount for multiple restricted accounts? I guess you mean child accounts. Yeah, if you have more than 5 or 6, email us. Right now, again, it's only $10 a month for extra accounts. It's not going to set you back a whole lot. If you do want to build a massive army, we'd love to work with you. We'd love to hear your story. Drop us a line, support@scoutiq.co, and we can work something out. Ryan Meredith says, at $2 for the Scouter, what is your minimum profit trigger? So good question. What I would do for that is coming into thrift store. Let me just show you this too, if you guys are not as familiar with triggers. Let's say I want to build a new trigger set. We're going to do these for Ryan. So I'm going to call this Ryan. Tests like that. I'm going to do FBA. I love just doing buy cost at 0, but we'll go ahead and do 2 for Ryan. And then I don't know what, let's say 30 cents a pound for inbound shipping. We're going to save that set. When you first load it, it's going to come up blank. There's an option down here that says restore to default. So click that. Go ahead and overwrite the trigger set. It'll take a second. It's going to basically pull in all of the triggers into your account here. So give it a minute. There it is. So Ryan's test, it's now filled in with all the triggers. On the books that are going to sell as fast as possible, I typically wouldn't touch the ranges. There's a lot of science that goes behind those, so I'm usually going to leave those alone. I'm not usually going to touch the FBA slots or the used slot or any of the logic. I'm going to leave that alone. I'm only going to look at the profit. And the more often it sells, the higher the E-score. So 151 all the way up to 180 or 10,000 just for kicks. The higher the E-score, the more likely it is to sell. So I'd be happy buying stuff if I could spend $2. I didn't trade my time for money. Maybe $1 would be the minimum there. The next level down, maybe $1.50. So that's kind of what I would probably build it out at. Somewhere in this ballpark. I'd probably leave the rest of them mostly the same. And then you might choose to turn some of these off as well if you don't want to buy books ranked 6 million, 10 million, etc. So that's kind of what I would set up, Ryan. Good question. But again, you can do this however you want. If you don't want to build it in the buy cost, you can set that to 0 and instead set your target profit to 3, and it'll do the same thing as before. So just a couple different ways around that. I'll go ahead and put that back. But that's how you set it up. All right, guys and girls, that's it. It's been an hour. We'll cut it right there. Again, thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. And if you guys have success stories, if you were able to land some consignment deals, drop us a line. We'd love to hear about it, maybe feature it on our website as well. and get out there, go find some more books, and start, again, scouting smarter, not harder. Leverage the tools, leverage the technology, and go build a good business. We'll catch you next month. Thanks.